Hello everyone, welcome back. In this lecture, we're gonna discuss the goto statement. This statement transfers control to a statement that is marked by a label. A label is a valid identifier followed by a colon. It can be used to create unconditional jumps or loops. For example, here, we have a variable named counter with a value of 0 and a label named start. After the label, the value of counter becomes 1. Then, the if statement checks if the counter is less than 10. Since the counter is 1, the code inside the if statement is executed and prints the counter value. Here, when the control encountered the goto statement followed by a label named start, it jumps to the start label and begins to execute the statements again. The control jumps back to the start label as long as the counter is less than 10. Once the counter becomes 10, the program execution continues and it prints loop completed. It's important to note that the use of goto can make the code harder to understand and maintain, because the goto statement makes it hard to track the execution flow. Therefore, it's recommended to use control flow statements like loop and conditional statements instead. In most cases, we can achieve the desired functionality using these control flow statements without using the goto statement. However, sometimes, in a very specific cases, like when, in the switch statement, we're trying to transfer control to a switch section with a case label, or when trying to exit nested loops, goto can be used carefully. For example, here, we want to calculate the price of the coffee. Since coffee choice is equal to plain, the code inside the plain case is executed. Next, the price is incremented by 10. Afterward, the break statement terminates the switch statement. Finally, 10 is printed in the terminal. But if the coffee choice becomes with milk, the code inside the with milk case is executed. Inside this case, the value of the price is incremented by 5. Then, the code encounters the goto statement with label case plain. This means the code execution jumps to the plain case code block. Inside the plain case, the price value incremented again, this time by 10, and becomes 15. Finally, 15 is printed in the terminal. Okay, let's show you the use of the goto statement to exit the loops. In this example, we have 3 nested loops. Each one starts with a value of 1 and will continue as long as its control variable is less than 4. Inside the innermost for loop, there is an if statement that checks if k is equal to 3. If k is not equal to 3, the code executes the writeLine method, which prints the values of I, j, and k. If k is equal to 3, the code encounters the goto statement with the label for loop end. This means the code execution jumps to the line labeled for loop end and continues from there. So it executes the writeLine method, which prints the message all for loops are terminated. As you can see, the goto statement is different from continue and break statements. While continue ends the current iteration and moves to the next one, and break terminates only the nearest loop, goto can terminate all nested loops at once. Okay, if we wanna compare it to the return statement, the return statement is used to exit a method and return control back to the caller. On the other hand, the goTo statement is used to transfer control to a label inside the same method. Okay, in this lecture and 3 previous lectures, we talked about all 4 jump statements in C#. In the next lecture, we cover infinite loops. See you soon.